HANWHA Life, they select the blue side, not a surprise. In the road to MSI, red side is heavily favored in the stats, 9-1 so far. Blue side only won once, that was KT. And again, I think that's partially because, you know, the stronger team was winning from red after winning game 1, and were forced on the red side against the team that had side selection and obviously chose blue. But now, you know, coming into this game 5, I think all best bets are off. We're going to see some weird stuff. And I think this is where champion pools really come into play. And you really have to dig deep to try to form some semblance of a comp that works together while also making, you know, good choices in individual champions.
In terms of meta picks we've seen in round 2 and onwards, the only one that's really left available that aren't going to be permabanned, like the Vi, obviously the Galio, it's been banned for multiple games here, is the Pantheon. We assume that will also be banned going into this one, and things get a little bit more weird. We've had so many game 5s across this year of Fearless. Victor also was banned, and will continue to be so, where the game 5 drafts are not meta. They're not necessarily practiced, and it's a messy game 5, and your clutch is the most important factor, and that's where Zek has come up big. So my eyes are on what's he playing in this 5th and final game.
Yeah, I feel like that's the thing, is we've seen these picks who we'd expect to be prio not really touched on, like the Pantheon, like the Wukong hasn't really been touched on. So they could just bring out those, or it could just be moving far away. One thing, we have seen a lot of scaling lent towards in the game 5s. You know, that's where we've seen like the Zeri Lulus come out. That's where we've seen like the Aurelion Soul. Ornn ban makes a lot of sense with that in mind.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that Nidalee, though, has not been banned away. Does get banned away this time by Gen G. Jace left available as a result.
Yeah, Jace is one of those other meta picks that is still up.
Here's his Jace.
As Ace gets his hands on it.
In game 5.
And what's the answer going to be?
I mean, there's no Sion, there's no Ornn, there's not even a Cho'Gath if you were thinking of bringing that out.
I know Kronkler backstage is like, Malphite, do it, lock it in! But we're going to see a Lucian here instead. And that is going to be with an available Braum here as well.
So Lucian Braum?
Lucian Braum feels like the easy lock.
Or pick up that Wukong, make sure you have a top-tier jungler.
What if it's Zeri
Braum, though?
No, Zeri Yumi, Lucian Nami.
Honestly, it could kind of work here, but if you grab, for example, Ashe Braum, then your jungle pool is going to get choked out in the second phase. To go for the Xayah here,
it's also available.
It's relatively safe into a lot of picks, but I feel like Wukong is not one of them because his CC persists on the ground after you ult.
Yeah, but I do feel like denying the, because as much as Lucian Rakan doesn't sound like the strongest duo, Rakan with Wukong is so strong. Denying that feels like a lot of value. And getting Rakan full delight in a game 5 feels insane. Plus, Rakan is a fantastic matchup in a Braum. Like, you often, when you pick Braum, you want to ban Rakan because you can never really stack up the passive on him because he's so mobile. So I think HLE, they feel so happy right now with how the first 3 have gone.
See what the...
Praying for Gen G.
See what the response is going to be here, because obviously we're looking at jungle and top here for potential target roles to ban away, with HANWHA Life not having a jungler locked in, and of course for the side of Gen G not having one. So there's the Pantheon, which seems pretty obvious. We talked about it. I guess it's just not going to be seen in this entire best of 5. And then answers to Jace that we could see. Obviously the Ornn is gone. Sion is Fearless banned. I don't think we're going to see a Malphite in this composition, but it could kind of work. I wonder what the read here for HANWHA Life Esports is going to be in this situation. I mean, Keen's got a crazy champion pool, right? Like, I don't think he's pulling out the Urgot. And because it's so hard to counter the Jace here, I actually like the pivot to just say, no, let's focus on Chovy instead.
Yeah, I mean, you would definitely want something that's got engaged from the mid lane if possible. And the Tibbers as well, even if the Xayah dodges it, there's a lot of sustained damage over the course of time that Tibbers can do and be very annoying. So, at the same time, though, you're banning out Chovy, a guy who's probably just going to play Aurelion Soul or pretty much anything. You know,
he could play Wei. Yeah,
he could play Wei.
I linked on that one.
Xerath, or, you know, I don't know about Xerath here, but there are a lot of options. Even Akali going to be banned away from Zeka.
I feel like that's a good ban away from Zeka. I feel like definitely something he could and would bring out.
I mean, it works really well with Jace, too. You poke them down, the Akali comes in for cleanup. A lot of discussion about this final ban here. It's Fearless Game 5. It's one of those moments where as a caster you could predict what's going to come, but it's more fun to just kind of let it roll because it's only what the players know and what they're talking about, which is going to come onto the forefront here.
I think the Orianna makes sense for how it syncs with the Wukong, you know, and the late engage that can provide, especially because as much as you have the Xayah, as you said, like if you ult and then come down again and then the second charge waiting.
Yasuo and Wukong.
Who's that for?
I mean,
Aatrox? Okay.
Aatrox makes a lot of sense here. It's very aggressive, but I think there's enough setup for it, and there's so much mid-game power in this draft here for Genji. It fits the theme, it fits the identity.
And now Zeka has the blind pick, which not going to be easy. We've seen that he has gotten bullied when he picks first. Chovy will not let him get away with anything.
I mean, are we just going for something like a Tristana mid?
I think that Lilia value here is pretty big into what Genji have. Like very short range comp, a lot of melee champions.
A lot of setup.
Really good.
Yeah.
Especially with, like, if Rakan gets a big charm, easy setup for a big sleep.
It's also, though, fairly risky into the Wukong because if you get caught and the follow-up is just so much burst damage, you're just going to get locked down and die. So you really have to have a lot of control. But I agree. I like this pick here a lot. And I trust that Peanut will actually have a game that's worthy of what its potential is and won't just simply be bullied.
What are we playing, Zeka? There's not a lot of options left that are in his wheelhouse.
I mean, it could even be something like Veigar, you know, zoning the melee.
It's Jace mid, and Gnar into the top lane to deal with the Aatrox. So the swap comes through, and it's Zeus's Gnar.
This is interesting because
once again, I think they need scaling damage, and I think this is the only pick left.
You know, I feel like it's an interesting one because the Gnar into Aatrox matchup, we've seen good Aatrox is able to play that matchup, you know, pretty well. Like, if I'm going to pick something for Zeus to double the matchup.
You saw him saying it there. He was saying Zoe, and we're going to get a Zoe in this game.
No, I feel like I don't want to derail your point, Ox.
Go ahead.
One, but I feel like these two
playing 2v2, they need to do work, which they need to step up in Game 5.
It's Game 5, guys. Let's hop onto the rift right now. So many people on the Genji side praying to the Church of Chovy that the Zoe is going to be the difference maker. I really liked the Aurelion Sol with the Zoe. There are a lot of angles where, you know, you can get free shock blast to the face when you hop back. You can get Rakan ulted very easily or knocked up when you jump back. The Gnar has great setup into you. I think that if there's somebody who can make it work, sure, it's Chovy, but I think he definitely took a risk with this one. I'm kind of agreeing on that point.
I feel like if you go Aurelion Sol, everything we said about like the late game team fighting from behind becomes like, well, if you're behind, it's cool because yeah, your Aatrox didn't have the swimming mid game that you wanted, but you kind of infinitely scale. You're really strong, and you know the Lucian can still supplement that damage. You have the Wukong for even heal for the Aurelion Sol. It can fly around. It's got reset value. There's just so many things the Aurelion Sol does, especially because we know Chovy is insanely good at Aurelion Sol. It's one of his favorite picks, and yet we got this, which is still good with what Genji has. It just makes it so all in one way. You feel like you don't see the longevity necessarily from behind.
My concern with the Aurelion Sol is that, you know, we're talking a lot about a pick that didn't happen, but it would have been like, you know, Chovy, who's been winning lane game after game after game, is now in a pick where you're weathering the storm, and if everything goes wrong, you hope that he can scale up. And I feel like they put him on an active pick to make that impact, and I feel like, for me, that's the right call because I wouldn't want him to be on the sit back and scale. I want him on the take charge because he has been doing that so far. And, you know, whether it works or not, whether the game explodes in the face or not, I think it's the right call to put him on a pick where he can actually have an impact sooner rather than later. And so far, you know, at least in the bot lane, they're getting off to a good start.
Yeah, I think in the microcosm of this series, that has been absolutely the way because, like you mentioned, Zeka has really just not lived up to Chovy in most of these games. Even in the wins for HANWHA, Chovy's had a great early game. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, the Rise game was questionable at times, but it was a lot of chain CC.
Yeah.
But Zoe is a pick that is explosive and from behind, you can still do things because you can set up a sleep, you can zone on objectives, you can just burst somebody with your team, and that can get you back in. But it's not quite going to be Shock Blast value sitting at neutral being like, oh yeah, you guys can't get to me, I'm just going to keep, you know, empowering Shock Blast and poking you down until you can't do anything, as Keen's in trouble.
Yeah, in a bit of trouble here. He's not going to die, but he's giving Grasp Sacks over the Gnar. It's doing its job.
So we've seen Keen do really well in lane so far throughout the series against Zeus. The Aatrox into Gnar matchup, you know, we've seen Aatroxes do really well in the matchup, but it's definitely a skill matchup, right? If you're connecting the sweet spots, if you're closing distance, you can do well. Right now, Zeus having a great time into Keen, forcing Keen to recall. He will TP back in to catch this wave. He will actually stay. And Zeus is about a mega. This is risky.
This is very risky for me.
Still tower ramp damage.
He's going to flash away, and Peanut's taking the turret damage. So it ends up being a bit of a risk for HANWHA Life Esports.
To be honest, I kind of felt like with Keen having flash there, it wasn't really going to be an angle unless you were able to get the jump on him with Zeus. Like, Zeus goes for the flash first and Keen doesn't react, but I don't think you can expect that. I feel like that was a pretty well-handled moment from Keen there, because it's still like a level 4 Lilia, and this turret hits hard.
I think that is one thing, is this HLE composition is very squishy, which also kind of leads in a, you know, if this Zoe gets ahead, if this Lucian, if this Aatrox, people will explode. I mean, I feel like for both sides, this is going to be a game where whichever team gets ahead will just be able to decimate the other side.
Yeah, and you think about, you know, what goes well with the Wukong. Comp we've seen played many times is Ahri Wukong, but obviously the Ahri's been gone since game 1, actually. Or no, not game 1, game 2. So they go for Zoe, who's got the ability to set up the Wukong on top of it, and I think it kind of makes sense, you know, after our long discussion about the pick. And again, if somebody's going to get it done, I think it is Chovy in his current state, in his current form. Even though the early laning phase looked a little bit rough, he's certainly holding his own by this point. Although he's not, you know, going to be he's not going to be getting these huge leads against a Jace.
Yeah, it's not that kind of matchup. He's not playing against a pure melee champion that he can just bully to his heart's content, like we saw with the Sylas game out of Zeka.
We do see Peanut stealing away the wolves from Canyon, which has helped keep him a little bit even. We did see Canyon, when Peanut went for that top dive, Canyon stole away a camp, which obviously put him a little bit ahead, but you kind of need to be, you know, when Peanut goes for a gank like that, you need to be stealing away camps, because if you let the Lilia just run away with the matchup, she will get really far ahead with how quick she clears.
So much vision and prio here for HANWHA Life. I mean, I think this might just be a shoe-in, as Canyon does not have level 6.
Taking him on a danger. A poke, and now Chovy the same. He's gonna get the sleep off, but he's not in a great spot here. Knows that Zeka's cooldowns are down for now, trying to bait him in. Flashes at the very last moment, but you're not really giving your team any favors here, as Canyon trying to fake go in with the clone. Might just be able to steal this one away, and yes, he will, as he even flashes out of here. So GENG living for now, as the bowling ball going to land asleep here on the top side against Zeka, as they're barely going to try to survive, but it doesn't look like Canyon is getting out of this one alive. Should be first blood over to HANWHA Life Esports after Canyon steals the dragon, and they will give that kill over to Viper.
When Canyon went in that pit, he knew he wasn't getting out. He knew that he was sacrificing himself. He put his hand up, and I think he was happy to get the dragon secure for that.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, this is really high value here for GENG. If they end up losing more there, which HANWHA Life was fishing for, they wanted to stop those retreats. They wanted to get a scoop and get multiple players. You can see the positioning of Zeka to try to punish. Then, yeah, it's a different story. As Chovy goes incredibly low, watch this as he flashes. The last auto hits. He is like sitting on 40, 50 health on this one. Does get away. And then Canyon goes in here, gets the steal. Really nice Warrior Trickster here. Has them fooled. Gets the dragon, flashes out. And then here just wants to try to buy time for everybody else to escape. The heal comes out from Duro to try to make sure they can buy space, but Canyon is unfortunately the sacrificial lamb here. But job done. On the top side of plate does go over the Gnar, and what has been a tough matchup here for Keen thus far in this game. But I think HANWHA Life, at the end of the day, they'll take the gold, but they wanted everything. They wanted the dragon and the gold.
The thing is, it's really hard in a game 5, in a situation like that, where if it goes wrong, you don't secure the dragon, and you potentially lose more members, to make a call that you want to go for this play. And like, it worked out, and in hindsight, it was the right play, but like GENG, that was so touch and go, and to be able to in a game 5 go, yeah, we're going to make this work. a lot of confidence.
If they get wiped there, you know, it's probably just game over.
It's just series done.
Yeah.
This is right before the grubs. And so Zeka, you know, he still kind of does the same thing, but he doesn't have any items at this point in time. So getting chunked out by the Zoe before the fight even begins is something that the Zoe is really going to offer into the Jace, into the Xayah as well.
I think they're just going to, with Viper being under turret and the fact that Zeus has demolished proc and he's going to get multiple plates here, they're just simply going to give this one up. Although,
maybe trying to get the one, but I think it's kind of a...
Canyon didn't smite.
Yeah, and Peanut's smite isn't upgraded yet, and Canyon's is, so there's zero chance.
I just don't think there's any reason to go in there. Well, I appreciate the hustle, but just take your win.
Good effort, yeah.
And I mean, you look at the gold leads here. It's a really close game. The biggest one, of course, being that Zeus lead into the Aatrox. He did pick up a bunch of plate gold down the bottom side, 2 solo plates to the Gnar, and swap back towards the top side once again. But this is a lead for HANWHA, you know? GENG not accomplishing, I feel like, as much as they would have liked to. Sure, they got the early dragon stacked up. It's not doomed by any means, but I think that on this next dragon, they really need to make something happen.
All right, well,
Peanut's looking for something topside.
Yeah, let's see what he can do. Might be able to get the sleep in on a ruler, but the wave is already being cleared. Do they care about it as the Braum trying to zone them away? And that's going to be a kill on the Rakan already. Another flash comes out from Peanut, but at least Viper gets the kill, but not a very pretty dive at that. Zeka down a level here, just bullying Chovy in the mid lane. As now we've got Canyon, total darkness here on the right side. Zeka is moving away from him. Maybe if they hit some kind of sleep or damage, but too high on health is Zeka.
Zeka also has flash, so could try to avoid the bubble. I think that's going to be the end of that. A lot of lost minions there on the top side for GENG as the trade did happen. 2 kills for Viper. Feels really good here, as the initial part of the dive was a bit touch and go, let's say.
Yeah, Cleanse comes in to stop the sleep, and then also lowers the duration of the charm. But unfortunately, Viper sets up to get this great pullback on the feathers.
Duro missed his ult as well, but it was obviously Viper still ulting there in exchange. And you saw on the player camera, if you guys were watching, you would have seen Duro looked super frustrated after that situation, because I think if that ult is a little bit slower, perhaps maybe it's a little bit more high value. Either way, still 2 kills for Viper. Feels great for HANWHA Life.
Ruler also has very high standards, so maybe Duro feeling the pressure a little bit, knowing he let down his young quite a bit. I mean, it's kind of hard for him to do much in that situation, but trying his best, and I don't think he should be too hard on himself. HANWHA Life, though, in a very nice lead here. It's nothing game-breaking at this point, but the Gnar's ahead and the Xayah's ahead. 2-0 for Viper in this game is going to be pretty massive. He's going to get scaled up very quickly in this one. We're not going to know if Ruler can really keep up in this game.
I think it's okay for GENG to be even, but not behind. And right now, 700 gold isn't enough behind for me to say it's not okay, right? If they can continue to hold on to these dragons, continue to force these fights on their terms, threaten kills, then it's still fine. It's when they lose a big fight that's when you should start worrying if you are a GENG fan. They have Prio on the streak right now. Chubby coming over.
Yeah, TP. He could be in a precarious spot.
Gonna throw in the sleep, actually, and that time Duro is able to keep Ruler safe, but not for long as the Tarn comes in. But now the counter engage of Viper just dies. He was 1 second away from his ult, didn't have it in the fight, and now the damage is coming through here for GENG as Chovy nearly gonna miss Zeus there, but he's still on the chase, and this is what the Zoe does. Trying to follow up and get even more. We're zooming in on him. He's got the Battle Star looking for it. He's not going to be able to hit it as barely HANWHA Life Esports just limp away from this fight.
Canyon's super low, but the Leandries is not going to be enough damage there. But it starts off as 2 fights on 2 fronts, but Keen's angle is really the game changer. So that one's not going to connect.
And Duro as well doing such a fantastic job of keeping Ruler alive for so long. So much had to be invested there, I feel, that it just meant, like, it gets to the point where you have to sink so much in, you can't stop from committing to killing Ruler, but eventually it's just too much. And we see here, so the sleep comes in, they know he doesn't have cleanse. And Delight's there for the follow-up, but the ult slows it down. He doesn't get charmed. They eventually commit, but then here, blocks the damage from Zeus. They get passive on his Zeus, so he's stunned. finally he goes down, but so much committed. Zeus is so deep. And eventually, this is a point where GENG start to chase off the exit kills.
Yeah, and Chovy getting that sleep off the TP from the Jace really hurt Zeka's ability to impact the play early. He still was able to collapse on and kill Ruler, but not before, like you mentioned, so much time was bought. Canyon narrowly survives here, not quite get burned down, but a very, very close game still, and one that GENG is starting to look better and better in when they win these skirmishes, because this is exactly how this comp needs to be played. GENG fans very happy as well that the comp still has relevance at this point.
I feel kind of bad for Viper. I said it in the play-by-play, but he was 1 second off of his Featherstorm, and so he just got bullied so hard because he didn't have songs, and he's Isaiah sitting there. And Isaiah without Featherstorm doesn't really feel like Isaiah at all if you're getting engaged on. And GENG do have so many tools to get on top of Isaiah, and if she doesn't have Featherstorm, she's just dying super quick.
And that's the thing, when games are a bit faster paced like this, and sums and ults are being burnt a lot, it makes it so much harder for like Isaiah to function when they're always just on cooldown.
I like this from Keen, trying to bait him into the fight, trying to give him a false sense of security here on the Mega Gnar, trying to avoid the Gnar into the wall. Is Canyon doing a ton of damage here already as now the Gnar comes out, but might be too little too late as well. Canyon's gonna get the kill, but it is traded back. This does give Keen the free wave in top, but
as a turret as well,
they are pushing bot.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you'll take this as HLE. Again, this turret's very healthy, and the bottom turret goes down. You got the kill back anyway. Sure, some assist goal goes over as Chovy.
Yeah, I think, you know, this is what I was talking about on the counter push as Zoe. It's so hard. You can be in so much trouble if you get over aggressive, and now they're looking for more. Duro just barely, okay, he's gonna get charmed up, and I think they've got the damage here with the Jace. And there you go, very nice juggling of the aggro as here comes Ruler. He doesn't have flash and he's alone.
Yeah, he decides against the one after another to go into the play. Duro trying to save his mid lane and ends up getting punished for it. And Chovy just overstepping there, trying to get a bit of damage down onto Peanut and Zeka. Now Ruler looking for Viper.
Yeah, looking for it here. They're going to get the Featherstorm out. Canyon doesn't have...
Yeah, I think maybe some miscommunication there.
Yeah.
Canyon not having the depth. Like, they knew he wouldn't have ult because obviously he used it top. But I don't think he really had to ult there.
Yeah, just perhaps like a reflex from Viper there as he sees a Wukong coming in on top of him and just feels like he needs to buy just that extra space to get to the turret. So sure, this is great and all, but Zeus outplays it, pushes Canyon here into the turret on the second activation. Canyon's just stuck.
Meanwhile,
traded.
Zeus making his presence known elsewhere. With the team, he's able to go in, chunk out Ruler before the fight even begins. And now they're just going to start up here on this Rift Herald. Chovy's up top. I mean, it's just going down too fast. There's no real way for GENG to get in.
Yeah, Canyon's nowhere near. He's going to get his Raptors in exchange, or the big chicken at least, on this one. And things are looking a little bit dire now. You know, before I was saying GENG are still in it. The Goldie is getting more significant here for HANWHA, and this Lilia is starting to become a relevant force in this game.
Yeah,
I mentioned how the Rakan and the Jace can really punish the Zoe, even the Gnar.
I didn't even think about the Lilia. You know, you go in, you're gonna get tapped by something from the Lilia, and even if you do a ton of damage, the recourse that happens when you get slept, when you pop back in the portal, is just too much. You have to be so controlled on the Zoe playing in this game. It's a really difficult Zoe game. And, you know, I trusted Chovy, but that was the first example, really, in this game where he's gonna have some hard times if he doesn't control himself.
Another turret goes down. I mean, the Zoe, when you're ahead and you have full control, it's easier to make those judgments on what risks you can take, right? But when you're behind and you're trying to desperately catch the play and defend, that's when it gets a little bit trickier, as this is going to be potentially another turret to take a charge at least. HANWHA Life going to use this Herald instead rather than committing to the turret itself to grab Dragon. This might be GENG's last real even team fight they get. Canyon has flash and ult. I think he has to be a hero here if they're going to commit.
Yeah. Mega Gnar coming through. And it's a straight up 5v5. There's the Mega Gnar. And Keen looking for the flank. And it's just going to go to a flip. It goes to Canyon. But let's take a look at this fight. As Canyon taking a bunch of damage. But Pino went way too deep. Not able to quite get the sleep off. As now Keen taxing Zeus out of this fight. HANWHA Life in a bunch of trouble. As now they have nowhere to go. The sleep comes down on a Viper. And the chase potential of this comp shines. They take out the Xayah. As now Canyon looking for a bit more. Keen as well. Here with Duro. And they might just be able to do it. Zeka trying to play bodyguard, but he might be punished himself. Has to flash out, and GENG finally find the angle.
And Canyon's smites have just been so good. I mean, the fight as well was winning, but his smites have been so on point. I feel like the confidence to go for these plays. Peanut tries to make him pay for it, but it's GENG who come through strong just when they need to.
And Zayas is trying to zone him. Yeah, that did happen. Like, look at where Zayas is in this fight with his Meganar trying to zone Canyon, but he's still unsuccessful. And he puts himself in harm's way, gets slept as well on the rebound as Chovy is completely safe. Peanut way overextends, and then Zayas takes so much damage that he has to flash over the wall. And then who's going to peel in this fight? Viper gets hit by an amazing big boom Q there coming through from Chovy. And, I mean, that's one thing Xayah is not great at, is poke and burst in situations like this. And Chovy's just threading the needle in. And what looked like might have been, if GENG loses that fight, they lose the game. They get soul point. They get a massive injection of gold. And now they're in a great spot.
Died in the turret? He just died in the turret.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, whatever, I'm just dead here.
Yeah, you just want to get back to base. You wouldn't understand.
Yeah, I don't quite get it. It's very high level. But yeah, that's a massive fight here for GENG. I mean, they're in this game. They have 3 dragons. Cloud Soul gonna be feeling fantastic for their composition.
I mean, Cloud Soul with the Wukong is massive.
Every champ. Every champ loves it on the side of GENG. And now we got Viper just trying to do a red buff, and he's going to be punished, and Zeus comes in here. HANWHA Life falling apart, and GENG playing guerrilla warfare. HANWHA Life don't quite have the answer. That's a free kill on a Viper who's really struggling into this comp.
And Viper, I feel like the most consistent member on HLE throughout this season is being punished again and again on one of the safer 80 carry picks. GENG is targeting him this game. 3 deaths so far.
And I just really feel like for the comp, the Xayah was safe, but not safe into all of this, right? And that call to be on the red buff there without vision of where GENG was when so many members were missing is less safe than that. It's not about the champ in this moment. It's just about the greed and the punish that comes through from GENG. And he dies, and GENG get more. And GENG continue to actually start to take these turrets off the map. As I mean, there's a control ward here, and he just doesn't know that Canyon's there, but it's not just Canyon. And obviously, if he ults here, it doesn't matter because it's Wukong, which is another issue. Zayas also, over here trying to save the play, but is going to be unsuccessful. And I mean, GENG, the more these picks they have, the more map control they have, the more this comp becomes so oppressive because Chovy could be anywhere. If you don't have vision of him and he hits that sleep, hits that burst, you're just dead. And the fight, there is no fight. Then there is no contest of the objective. GENG just get it for free. Zoe with control and a mid-turret down. I mean, it's the wolf point we've talked about a long time, man. Zoe gets that mid-turret, then you're really feeling good about what you can do as we move out of the mid-game into the late game.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be something to look at. We haven't really seen the Jace have as much power. The Jace from ahead can also do some very nice things, but last couple of fights haven't really been set up here for HANWHA Life.
Also, Chovy just got like the Horizon-focused Luden Spike. Both those items so cheap now and so much damage. And the thing is, we now have Adakan on the bot side, and it's Soul in 50 seconds, so you can't even do like the split map where like you go towards one, or they go towards... It's like HLE, you have to set up around the bot side of the map. Like, there's no alternative. You're gonna have to try and outmaneuver GENG, and I feel like you're gonna have to try and find an angle. I think the best thing is try and find a pocket of vision, an angle where you can just get on top of the backline. But the problem is, Ruler has cleanse, and Chovy, because of Spellbook, also has cleanse.
I actually think the best way for HANWHA to play this dragon fight is to actually just slowly approach and continue to poke with this Jace and hope that you can whittle the health bars down fast enough before GENG can actually smite the dragon and look for a follow-up there. Or obviously, if GENG start to feel that pressure on the Jace poke and look to engage, then you have the counter sleep engage, you have the charm for peel. Try to play it that way. Because if you just try to look for a pick, I mean, there's just so many defensive options here for GENG. Like, if you try to all in on the backline, Duro ults multiple people, that's just it. That's the fight. They turn on you and it's done. I mean, the Wukong as well. Chovy the target here, but his spacing is good. Now they've kind of broken this open, though. Delight's on a cool angle.
Yeah, it really just comes down to what the approach is going to look like on this fight, because it could be the Jace getting big damage, or it could be the Zoe getting the big damage from the two mid laners, which was a very key matchup in this series.
They're playing around this wave so well.
Okay, Zeus going to be pulled back here. Kind of awkward for him.
That's a lot of damage, you know. We got some poke from Zeka on a Chovy as well, so that was positive, but GENG just start up the dragon as quick as they can.
Zeus is going to have to TP back in, and this is the timing I was talking about. GENG is starting to get a little bit antsy. The poke is landing. There's that TP.
Yeah, a bit more poke coming down.
Oh, the sleep!
Yeah, the sleep is going to catch him. He is able to hop away.
That Mega's in such a good spot.
Take away some of the ability of him to engage. Another sleep going to hit onto the Rakan, who does just hop away, and this is what I'm talking about. The burst comes in the second you hop back. Chovy has to make these panel stars count.
Delight
he has
on
to
the
start
angle.
hitting some stuff.
To look for the charm into the back line. Zeus uses his Meganar, he has to, and now it's going to expire. There's an angle here for GENG in this interim. They have to really be aware of Peanut, though. A big sleep could be a game changer, and it's a poke war.
Yeah, the poke war is beginning. HLE do have position on this objective. Enduro getting pretty low himself. Zeus gets over the wall, but that's not Meganar as they turn immediately on Zeus. He's getting burst down, but down will go Canyon immediately, and the smite goes to HLE as it's a broken up fight here for GENG. Two people go into the back line, and one of them immediately gets burst down. Just going way too deep to try to catch people out. Chovy looking for the follow-up picks. Maybe he's able to catch Zeus here, but nope, Zeus is going to walk out. And the Braum not able to catch him either. He is going to try to flash, though, and in goes Ruler, and finally does take him down. GENG at least get the Gnar on the back of that.
Yeah, HLE with the Dragon, definitely big. They were able to secure that one, but a 1-for-1 at the end of things. That being said, Zeus is down for a long time without TP. So Canyon's going to be up soon. Zeus down for a long time without TP, so I wonder if they can try and get some pressure maybe around Atakan on the back of this, or if they'll just slow play it.
Well, I think they definitely need to move towards it here. There's no vision on it right now. There's a control weird nearby, but I like the all-in here of Zeus onto Keen. As soon as the sleep is down, he comes in and he's going to absorb a ton of pressure. Delight comes in as well and gets the double charm. This forces Keen to flash out of the pit. They end up getting the secure on the dragon. They want to chase and get more, but it's too difficult to chase into this. Very risky as Chovy's bubble's going to come back up. Looks for the sleep here. Zeus decides to flash as he does not want to get concussive blows, but then Ruler just dashes on him and sets it up anyways. And down he goes. But very, very clutch moments here. I feel like Zeka didn't do that much damage, but the threat of the poke was really what made GENG pull the trigger.
I feel like GENG, their carries were sort of blocked by the dragon and were focused on the dragon, whereas HLE all just looked at Canyon and killed him. Like all 5 members were like, we're killing this Wukong, that is our prime focus, and as a result, easily secured the dragon. So there's no risk of like losing the smite fight when the Wukong is dead.
Looks like Chovy looking for the Banshee's Veil next. I think that, you know, when there is a lot of recourse on your hop throughs, can definitely get some value there, but...
I mean, the Zeus poke is more what I'm concerned about, though, and I don't be worried that's going to be just so much burst that the Banshee's Veil isn't really going to help you too much with. Once you pop it off once, you just keep poking. Yeah.
I mean, the way you think about it is as much as like Jace can spam Shock Blast, if the Banshee's Veil blocks like a 400 damage Shock Blast, it's a lot of value, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
And the Shock Blasts are hitting, and that sleep is not.
I mean, that's the thing, that Jace outranges the Zoe poke. And as long as Zoe doesn't set up a sleep, you just kind of keep her at bay and continue to win the neutral. And that forces GENG to eventually go for a harder engage, and Wukong is really their best bet for that. And I think HANWHA played so well around it, but this is still such an incredibly close game. I mean, it's going to be an Otacon attempt here for GENG. No vision for HANWHA, but they're rushing over.
Duro has TP, so he's going to TP over, and it's just going to come down to this. The sleep not going to hit anyone, and teams all day have been throwing on the Otacon. Is it going to happen again? As they zone Zeus away, he doesn't have the Mega just yet. He really wants it, but the reset comes through on the Otacon. And Delight has to hop away. We're going to reset ourselves in the fight.
Here we go again. And Zeka's got another Shock Blast at the ready. He hits with it. It's just going to be Canyon.
Yeah, Canyon not the best target to hit with that one. But better than nothing, I suppose, and it's just gonna come down to this one. Goes over to the Wukong, and Delight goes in, but nobody follows up as the Braum gets the disengage through. Peanut getting no value on this Lilia. They're just trying to abandon ship, but GENG have other ideas. They catch up to the Gnar, and that'll be the first pick on top of the Otacon that they just got, and they're looking for more. Delight looks like he will be able to hop away, but now GENG have their sights set on this Baron. Oh, even gonna look for Delight here. Kind of go in, and I feel like maybe just turn on the objective.
Yeah, that costs them a lot of time, and it's a flash down for the Wukong now, but I mean, maybe HANWHA Life will be able to punish. It's a big maybe. Viper still has ult and sums.
Not even going for it.
I think this is the safe call.
They want the soul, it looks like, but that's in a minute.
I don't know, maybe we're thinking if they get one more person, that would be enough for them to go for the Baron.
This fight is so broken up. Like, Zeus is trying to look for a Narbar on the flank. Delight's engage comes in so late after the Otacon is already taken, and the rest of HANWHA Life is making the call to disengage. It feels like rare nerves in a game 5 here across this roster against a GENG who's looked so incredibly confident and solid throughout this mid and now moving towards the late game. And HANWHA Life definitely regretting how that one went down.
100%. I feel like definitely a little bit slow to approach, hoping to get maybe a bit more poke down when it came to the Otacon, maybe hoping to get a big sleep, and then when the moment came, didn't connect. Maybe some split calls, which very uncharacteristic for what we've seen from HLE so far. Now, I mean, 2-level lead for Ruler. He's got that IE finished, and he's got that BF, so this Lucian's super strong right now. And if he gets the Bloodthirster completed, that Jace poke just stops being relevant.
Yeah, it's not going to be an issue for him. It's not really an issue for the Wukong. The Aatrox, you're really taking away targets.
Zeus on the flank with no Mega, and he's going to need some time here. The Jace poke needs to keep landing.
I mean, this might just turn into a flip, but Jovi's going to go in and do a bunch of damage, and now the culling comes through. Viper is just kind of out of the fight. Even the Ignite from the Zoe is enough. It goes over to Peanut, but now the fight comes through, and Peanut barely survives.
He still has his ult.
Keen once more. Kind of corralling them here. The engage from the Aatrox, not the best, but it's going to keep them around. And now Ruler gets an opportunity to get in, and that'll be the end of Zeka as he gives his life, but so does Viper. And now, one by one, they are falling. And GENG pick up 3. They lose the Drake, but they take a massive fight.
Yeah, instantly pings on the Baron, and this is where GENG, I think, have to make the call whether they want to just hard push here or go straight to Baron.
I think with 3 down, that's enough to head over to the Baron. They'll leave Keen in the bot lane pushing, and he can TP over if they really need him, or if that hit in.
Zeus is really playing fire here.
But he's got to play greedy, he's got to play risky, he's got to delay this in any way he can, so that TP Zeka can come through.
I think they're going to recall Keen and have him TP in just to secure it 100%. And if it's 5 against 2, they definitely can't. Zeka is 10 seconds away. This is just going to be gone.
And Peanut, I don't think an ult is going to change anything here. If he goes for it, it will be
a mistake. TPing, actually.
Yeah, we got TP coming through, but that's a sleep immediately
Zeka
onto him. Peanut
TP.
Peanut doesn't have his flash. He can't get in. It's Baron over to GENG, as we assumed. And now a second TP comes in, and a second sleep from the Zoe. And you're not really finding very much value. They need to get something HANWHA Life here, but we're going over the wall, and even Jovi's looking for more, just taxing them out with some extra damage.
I mean, this moment here for GENG felt pretty safe to all of us universally. We go back to this fight here where Ruler's culling pushes Viper out of the fight. He still gets a little bit of work done, but again, Zeus doesn't have his ult either. Peanut gets the steal, but it's Canyon's engage and the follow-up that's so problematic here. The TP comes through. And this play from Delight with the feather callback is, I think, the best case scenario that HANWHA was ever going to get. Zeka sacrifices himself, but Viper is out of gas as well. And then, I mean, Jovi with the snipes, the sleeps are coming in so well for him. But I think the call to try to deny Baron there from HANWHA, you know, you feel like you have to do it, but I think GENG were never for even 1 second worried that they were going to lose it.
Yeah, and now with the extra gold, the extra XP from Baron, I mean, it's not just that Ruler's 2 levels up, he's like 2.5 levels up on Viper. He's 3,500 gold ahead. Like, the mammoth amount of the lead is between these 80 carries. He's so strong right now. And with that Bloodthirster in pocket, that poke just isn't really going to dissuade him. I think he's the major threat right now in this game. And HLE are really struggling with how to deal with him.
Yeah, there were only really 2 targets for the Jace, and now there's 0. Viper taking a huge amount of damage, and we talked about poke all game long with the Zoe and the Jace, but the Lucian is doing the most damage here in the poke war because this culling is a lot more reliable, and it's very difficult to get away. So Ruler very much doing his job. as the poke Lucian essentially to get them some big wins.
I mean, there's just no there's no outplay here for HANWHA. Like, there's no flanks, there's no teleport wards. You just gotta sit back and try to clear the wave and hope GENG overextend. There's no way for Peanut to wrap around. Another sleep connects as the siege is unreal here for GENG. Chovy's poke lands again, and now 2 inhibitors are under threat.
Yeah, I don't think that HLE have an answer to this one. The GENG fans are already celebrating. They can taste the victory, and just 3 games ago, they thought all hope was lost. HLE stomped them in 2 games, and now we got GENG just bringing it back in a huge way. They finally woke up and proved that they are the ones that deserve this win and the first seed. It's not over yet, but almost 10,000 gold. And you've got the Zoe fully unlocked. I don't really see an angle here for HANWHA.
They need a mistake. They need someone from GENG to step up too far. They need a snap engage, I feel, or like a
flash 4-man Nart, you know, something like that. A miracle is what they need.
Yeah, they're looking for something. They're trying to connect. They're trying to find an angle. You can see them running at Dura and Ruler.
And you see that GENG, all they got to do is respect. As in goes the Mega Gnar, Zeus gets interrupted, and the damage comes through. The engage is not snap, and it doesn't do much of anything. The sleep only hits the Wukong, and maybe they get it as a consolation prize. Canyon goes in, keeps them around.
They're so split here. Zeus is incredibly low. Viper the target.
Okay, they're going in onto a Xayah with Cleanse. Not sure about this target, GENG, and take a look at Ruler.
He's just ending the game.
He's just running at the base. Nobody's able to stop this from happening. And Ruler might just get it done. He's got Chovy over here, and Ruler just able to turn and take the fight. He is so fed. And there's nothing that Mini Gnar can do about it. There's nothing that Peanut can do about it. As GENG more than 10,000 gold ahead, they take down the turrets, but the health bars are pretty low.
Echo's back, and I think they're really judging this very carefully.
Ruler's healing up.
They got the BT, and yeah, the Mega Gnar is just going to be zoned away. The Sonya's picked up by Chovy. Ruler trying to chip away at the Nexus, might just be able to do it right here, right now, and it looks like they have done it. Delight can't get it done, and with a smile on his face, GENG, Chovy will be your first seed, moving on to MSI tonight.
GENG will